Troye Sivan, something to give each other. Album review, let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest album from Mr. Troye Sivan, Australia-based singer-songwriter. He's been out it for a few years now. He blew up seemingly overnight with the release of his debut album, Blue Neighborhood, which, I mean, it certainly has some great singles on it, but this thing was overhyped beyond belief. I mean, my God, Urban Outfitters could not stock enough copies of this fucking album. I overall thought it was okay. Like I said, the singles were really good, but when it got into deeper territory, I felt like Troye just wasn't up to the task of putting together a complete thought of an album. But the next time he showed up with an album with Bloom, I was actually pleasantly surprised. This thing was far from perfect. I mean, some of the ballads on here were just not up to snuff at all. But Troye showed immense growth in such little time, and tracks like the title track Bloom and My made me feel like something was very special about Troye at the end of the day. And the last time we heard from him with the In a Dream EP, I was stunned all around, just because, first of all, this ended up being one of my top 3 EPs of the year. I thought it was just a tremendous work of pop, from the sort of nocturnal nightlife side of the album to the sad boy R&B side of the album. Troye was working with a lot of sounds that he had never touched down on and hitting them out of the park already. Now, leading up to this album, I've been super excited. He dropped 2 singles leading up to this thing. They were both bangers, and you know what? I mean, I think he's come through with a very solid album. This album starts off with Rush, and instantly I am so shocked by how great this comes off. I mean, I don't know how I could personally say no to this, or anybody who's ever enjoyed a single pop song, for that matter, of any generation. This is great. This beat is so smooth, it is impossible for me not to groove to this. And Troye's vocals and presence have reached completely new highs. It's so bright, it's so colorful, it's so instantaneous, easily one of the best pop tunes I've heard all year. And with What's the Time Where You Are, I feel like Troye is really taking a big step up. I mean, all of a sudden, I think what makes this album work as much as it does is the sheer confidence from Troye. He oozes charisma on this track, and the silky beat and the classy samples just bring everything together. And also, the sentiment behind this track and a lot of other tracks is just so genuinely sweet and full of love. It's passionate as well. It's got some sultry moments too. This is just great pop. Within My Room, Troye delivers probably this album's steamiest moments. It's got a serious groove though. Troye's super confident once again. The glistening synths are really, really nice on this track. It's got almost a new disco vibe to it. I salute it. And I just can't help but just get swept up in this fantastic atmosphere. What a great sultry jam. And Can't Go Back Baby, I mean, this track is just so incredibly tasteful. I mean, who else in 2023 is sampling Jessica Pratt? Yes! What a stroke of genius, especially when it comes to the chorus of this track. This instrumental is more on the quiet side, but it's very tasteful, it's very sweet on the ears. This, to me, is how you do a more downtrodden and emotional track from Troye Sivan. And because this track's instrumental is on the quieter side, we get a very intimate verse from Troye, and he sounds great. Easily one of the biggest standouts of this album. Now, mostly, I don't have a lot of bad to report, but Troye doesn't make a couple of missteps. Like One of Your Girls, sorry, this track's a letdown for me. I do really like how warm and colorful and inviting the atmosphere is. The production's great too, but for my money, Troye does not bring his A game here. This is one of his weakest performances, especially when it comes to the chorus here. I just feel like Troye is really, really phoning it in, and this is just such a great dance pop album. I just know he can do so much more. And Still Got It, I'm really not that into as well, even though Troye's heart is in the right place on this track. It really is. But listen, as we get into the album's later moments, there are a lot more sweet, tender, stripped down moments that go over a lot better than this. This bland ass instrumental and ineffective use of vocal effects, it's just not cutting it for me. Outside of that though, I mean, this is exactly the album that I personally wanted to hear from Troye Sivan. Got me started. Don't At Me. This is the best track here. From the warm atmosphere, the completely just blatant use of a sample, just used so hard, and Troye's vocals, which may be his best on this entire album, this is the complete package. It's steamy, it's full of lust, kind of horny as well, but it's also got an incredible hook, especially the portion with Troye's vocal effects. That's awesome. On the other hand, if you want to hear Troye take more risks, look no further than Silly. This is one of the quirkiest and bounciest tracks here. Great use of vocal effects. This track just oozes personality and fun. And you know what? In a lot of ways, it's still a very clean track. I mean, it's a very cleanly produced album, which is something I usually am not here for. But this is the perfect example of why that's not always going to be the case, and some squeaky clean pop can be captivating. Honey, on the other hand, it almost has like a 90s tinge to it, with that strummed riff that's pretty apparent. But between the sonic production, the bubbly beat, and just how colorful this track is, Troye brings it up to speed. It's so simple, but it's so incredibly memorable and catchy, and I loved the soaring synths that we get in the second half. And the final minute is just bliss. And How to Stay With You, this album's finale, I mean, we had a 90s throwback with the last track, so of course we're going 80s throwback for the finale, and it's actually really tasty. This is a throwback slow jam with an absolute ton of passion. It's got some sass to it, it's playful as hell still, thanks to the production, but it's also really lustful and passionate and just has so many great one-liners. The sax brings it home. The hook is awesome. This is just the finale I asked for. This is the album that I asked for from Troye Sivan. And yeah, it's his shortest album, 10 tracks, just over 30 minutes. It's a pretty tight album. And yeah, there's one or two missteps where Troye kind of loses the footing. But overall, this is the album I've been waiting for from him. Not only is it colorful and passionate and sexy, but it's also super confident and playful and sweet on the ears. The production's great, and Troye just goes back and forth from being just so unbelievably confident to just super cool. Like, honestly, this is just great dance pop all around. Anything mind-blowing? No, but great dance pop? Yes. Feeling a super light 8 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.